What's happening, basketball fans? And welcome back to the channel where we've been delivering 100% accurate playoff predictions throughout this entire WNBA postseason. That's right, every single prediction we've made has come true. And today we're bringing that same championship-level analysis to the most historic WNBA Finals matchup we've witnessed in years. We're about to witness something absolutely monumental as the number 4 seeded Phoenix Mercury travels to Las Vegas to face the number 2 seeded Las Vegas Aces in Game 1 of the first ever best-of-7 WNBA Finals series. This is not just another championship series. This is the duel in the desert between two Western Conference powerhouses, separated by just 300 miles, and the basketball world is watching with bated breath. Let's dive deep into what makes this Game 1 so incredibly special, and why this finals matchup has captured the attention of fans worldwide. The Las Vegas Aces are seeking their third WNBA championship in 4 years, cementing their dynasty status in league history. They've reached the finals for the 4th time since 2020, and their championship pedigree is undeniable with titles in 2022 and 2023. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Mercury, who haven't reached the finals since 2021, are chasing their first championship since 2014. These franchises have combined for 5 WNBA titles, but remarkably, they've never faced each other in the championship series until now. This finals represents a collision of championship experience versus hungry underdogs who've shocked the entire league. What makes this series even more fascinating is how both teams arrived at this moment through completely different paths. The Mercury entered the playoffs as massive underdogs, having lost Game 1 both in the first round against the defending champion New York Liberty and in the semifinals against the top-seeded Minnesota Lynx. But Phoenix proved their mettle by eliminating both teams that participated in last year's finals within a single postseason, becoming just the 4th team in WNBA history to accomplish this incredible feat. They've shown an ability to win elimination games and dominate fourth quarters when it matters most, overcoming multiple double-digit deficits throughout their playoff run. The Aces' journey to the finals has been equally dramatic but in a completely different way. Las Vegas was sitting at 500 at the All-Star break before unleashing a historic 16-game winning streak that carried them into the playoffs as one of the hottest teams in WNBA history. That winning streak extended to 17 games with a Game 1 victory in the first round, making them look unstoppable and championship-ready. However, the Aces then lost 3 of their next 6 postseason games, showing unexpected vulnerability against lower-seeded opponents. They barely escaped the 7th-seeded Seattle Storm in the first round, winning Game 3 by just a single point, 74-73. Then they needed overtime in Game 5 to finally eliminate the 6th-seeded Indiana Fever in a series that went the full distance. Now let's talk about the regular season head-to-head matchups between these two teams because they tell a fascinating story. The Aces dominated the season series 3-1, but that record is misleading when you dig deeper into the details. The Mercury's lone victory came on June 15th when they won 76-70 in Las Vegas, and that game didn't feature A'ja Wilson, so we can essentially throw it out when analyzing this finals matchup. In the final 3 regular season meetings where both teams were fully healthy, the Aces won all 3 games, and Wilson was absolutely dominant, averaging 25.0 points per game against Phoenix. The most recent matchup on August 21st was particularly brutal, with Las Vegas crushing the Mercury 83-61 at home, holding Phoenix to a season-low scoring output. However, don't let that regular season dominance fool you into thinking this finals is a foregone conclusion, because the playoffs are a completely different animal. The Mercury have transformed into the league's best defensive team during the postseason, posting an elite defensive rating of 92.2 and restricting opponents to just 75.9 points and 32 paint points per game. This defensive intensity is exactly what you need to upset a more talented team in a championship series. Meanwhile, 3 of the 4 regular season games between these teams were decided by 6 points or less, proving that when Phoenix brings their A game, they can absolutely compete with the Aces championship caliber roster. Let's break down the key factors that will determine the outcome of Game 1, because this opening game could set the tone for the entire series. First and foremost, the battle of the Big Threes will be absolutely critical to who wins this championship. For the Aces, it's the trio of A'ja Wilson, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray, who combined for an astonishing 84 of Las Vegas's 107 points in their Game 5 overtime victory against Indiana. Wilson dropped 35 points, Young added 32, and Gray contributed 17 crucial points in that series-clinching performance. This big three has championship experience and knows exactly how to perform under the brightest lights. For the Mercury, their big three consists of Alyssa Thomas, Satou Sabally, and Kahleah Copper, who are collectively averaging 47.3 points per game this season. In Phoenix's Game 4 closeout victory against Minnesota, this trio led the way with Thomas scoring 23 points, Sabally adding 21, and Copper contributing 13. The X factor for this entire series will be which big three can separate themselves and dominate consistently across 7 potential games. If the Mercury Stars can match or exceed the production of Wilson, Young, and Gray, Phoenix has a legitimate chance to pull off the upset and capture their 4th championship. Now let's analyze the individual matchups that will determine Game 1's outcome, starting with the most dominant player on the planet. A'ja Wilson is seeking to become only the 2nd player in WNBA history to win both League MVP and the WNBA championship in the same season twice. Cynthia Cooper accomplished this legendary feat in 1997 and 1998, and Wilson already did it once in 2022. The 4-time MVP has been absolutely sensational throughout these playoffs, recording her WNBA record 3rd career 35-point game in a series-clinching win, and becoming the first player ever with 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a playoff game. Her dominance in the paint and ability to take over games in crucial moments makes her the most feared player in this series. However, Wilson showed some vulnerability during the semifinals against Indiana, experiencing a few off games that should give the Mercury hope. In Game 3, she scored just 13 points on 6 of 20 shooting, proving she's not invincible. The Mercury's playoff best defensive rating and their ability to restrict paint scoring will be tested against Wilson's interior dominance. Phoenix must throw multiple defensive looks at Wilson throughout Game 1, utilizing double teams strategically without leaving shooters open and making her work for every single basket. If the Mercury can hold Wilson to under 25 points and force her into difficult shot selections, they'll have a real chance to steal Game 1 on the road. Jackie Young has emerged as the perfect Robin to Wilson's Batman, and their partnership has been the highest-scoring duo in the league this season at 39.9 points per game. In Game 5 against Indiana, they made WNBA history by becoming the first teammates to both score over 30 points in a single playoff game, with Young's 30 points perfectly complementing Wilson's 35. Young's ability to facilitate the offense while providing elite secondary scoring makes her incredibly dangerous. She averaged double-digit scoring in all 3 regular season games against Phoenix where Wilson played, proving she can consistently produce against the Mercury's defense. The Mercury must assign their best perimeter defender to Jackie Young and make her uncomfortable throughout Game 1. Young's ability to create her own shot and knock down clutch 3-pointers could be the difference-maker in a close game. The Mercury cannot afford to focus all their defensive attention on Wilson while leaving Young open to operate freely. This perimeter battle will be absolutely crucial to determining which team controls the pace and flow of Game 1. Chelsea Gray and Jewell Loyd bring veteran championship experience and clutch playmaking ability that cannot be underestimated in a finals environment. Both players were instrumental in the Aces' overtime victory in Game 5 against Indiana, hitting crucial shots when the game hung in the balance. Gray has been Finals MVP for the Aces before, and she knows exactly how to perform in these high-pressure championship moments. Loyd brings 2 WNBA titles from her time in Seattle, adding another layer of championship DNA to this Aces roster. The Mercury must account for these veteran threats and prevent them from getting hot from 3-point range. Now let's shift our focus to the Phoenix Mercury and break down what makes them such a dangerous underdog in this finals matchup. Alyssa Thomas has been absolutely spectacular throughout the playoffs, playing at an MVP level and leading this retooled Mercury roster with triple-double performances that remind everyone why she's one of the league's most versatile players. Her ability to impact the game in multiple ways through scoring, rebounding, facilitating, and defending makes her the engine that drives Phoenix's success. Thomas must continue this elite level of play throughout the finals if the Mercury hope to upset the Aces dynasty. Satou Sabally's emergence as a clutch playoff performer has been one of the biggest revelations of this postseason. She's absolutely dominated fourth quarters throughout the Mercury's playoff run, taking over games in the crucial final frame when championships are won. In the semifinals against Minnesota, Sabally was consistently brilliant down the stretch, hitting big shots and making winning plays. However, she also had some inconsistent performances during the regular season against Las Vegas, including a game where she scored just 10 points on 3 of 14 shooting. Sabally must avoid those cold shooting nights and maintain her playoff level of excellence throughout this finals series. Kahleah Copper is the third piece of Phoenix's Big Three puzzle, bringing scoring punch and two-way versatility to the Mercury's attack. Copper's ability to create her own offense and defend multiple positions makes her incredibly valuable in a finals environment. However, she also had struggles against the Aces during the regular season, including the most recent matchup where she scored just 6 points. Copper must shake off that poor performance and rediscover her playoff rhythm if Phoenix hopes to steal Game 1 on the road. The Mercury need all three stars firing simultaneously to overcome the Aces' championship experience and home court advantage. The bench battle will be another crucial factor in determining Game 1's outcome. Phoenix entered the playoffs with the highest scoring bench in the entire league, and they'll rely heavily on veteran champions Sammy Whitcomb and DeWanna Bonner to provide crucial scoring punch off the pine. Whitcomb hit a vital three-pointer in Game 2 against Minnesota to force overtime, showcasing her clutch gene in pressure situations. However, she also struggled with consistency, scoring just 2 points in Game 3 and 4 points in Game 4. The Mercury's postseason record stands at 2-0 when Whitcomb scores 10 or more points, proving how important her offensive contributions are to Phoenix's success. DeWanna Bonner brings invaluable championship experience with 94 career playoff games, the most in WNBA history. She won 2 titles with the Mercury in 2007 and 2014, and her veteran leadership in crucial moments could be the difference-maker in a tight finals series. Bonner struggled early in the semifinals against Minnesota, averaging just 2.6 points in 24 minutes per game through the first 3 contests. But in the decisive Game 4, she had a breakout performance, scoring 14 points with 10 coming in the clutch fourth quarter, including hitting all 3 of her 3-point attempts. If Bonner can provide that level of bench scoring consistently throughout the finals, it takes enormous pressure off the Mercury's Big Three. For the Aces, Alyssa Smith has been a revelation in the playoffs and could be the X factor that pushes Las Vegas over the top. Smith was exceptional in the semifinals against her former team Indiana, averaging 11.5 points over 4 games, highlighted by an 18-point explosion in Game 2, where she shot 7 of 9 from the field and grabbed 7 rebounds. Her ability to provide secondary scoring and alleviate some of Wilson's burden has been crucial to the Aces' playoff success. However, Smith must avoid foul trouble, having accumulated 4 fouls in Games 2, 4, and 5 against Indiana. If Smith fouls out early in Game 1, it puts tremendous pressure on Wilson to carry the entire scoring load. The coaching battle adds another fascinating layer to this finals matchup. Becky Hammon has proven herself as one of the elite coaches in WNBA history, leading the Aces to back-to-back championships and establishing a dynasty in Las Vegas. However, she made a crucial mistake in Game 4 of the semifinals when the Aces called an extra timeout with 30 seconds remaining, resulting in a technical foul that helped seal their defeat. This shows that even championship coaches can feel the pressure in high-stakes situations. Hammon must ensure her team stays disciplined and avoids costly mental errors in Game 1, because the Mercury will capitalize on every Aces mistake. Nate Tibbetts has done an absolutely remarkable job as Phoenix's head coach, guiding this retooled roster to the finals in their first season without Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner. The Mercury returned just 2 players from 2024 and lost over 71% of their scoring from the previous season, yet Tibbetts has molded them into a cohesive unit that eliminated both of last year's finals participants. His ability to embrace an underdog mentality and keep his players believing they can compete with anyone has been instrumental to Phoenix's shocking playoff run. Tibbetts must make the right defensive adjustments in Game 1 to slow down Wilson and the Aces' high-powered offense. The venue factor cannot be overlooked when analyzing Game 1, because playing in Las Vegas at Michelob Ultra Arena presents unique challenges for the Mercury. The Aces have been incredibly strong at home throughout their championship runs, and their fans create an intimidating atmosphere that can rattle inexperienced playoff teams. Las Vegas will host the first 2 games of this best-of-7 series before it shifts to Phoenix for Games 3 and 4, giving the Aces a significant early advantage. However, the Mercury have proven throughout these playoffs that they can perform under pressure away from home, winning elimination games on the road and overcoming hostile environments. The betting odds and analytics paint an interesting picture of Game 1's expected outcome. The Aces are 185 moneyline favorites at home, while the Mercury are 154 underdogs. The point spread is set at 4.5 points in favor of Las Vegas, and the over-under total is 162.5 points. These odds reflect the Aces' regular season dominance and championship pedigree, but they also show respect for Phoenix's ability to keep games competitive. Analytics models give the Mercury a 40% chance of winning Game 1, which is significant underdog respect, considering they're playing on the road against a dynasty. Advanced metrics reveal some fascinating contrasts between these two teams. The Aces have the #1 offensive rating in the 2025 WNBA playoffs at 87.0 points per game, showcasing their elite scoring ability and highest field goal percentage at 45%. Phoenix ranks 5th in playoff offensive rating but 1st in defensive rating at 92.2, proving they win games through elite defense and clutch execution, rather than overwhelming offensive firepower. The Mercury restrict opponents to just 75.9 points per game, and the Aces score 47% of their points in the paint, setting up a fascinating clash of styles. Will the Aces' offensive firepower overwhelm the Mercury's defense, or will Phoenix's paint protection frustrate Wilson and force Las Vegas into difficult perimeter shots? The three-point shooting battle will be another crucial element in determining Game 1's outcome. Both teams have the personnel to get hot from beyond the arc and potentially blow the game open with a shooting barrage. The Mercury's three-point shooting has dipped slightly during the playoffs to 31.4%, down from their regular season average of 34%. If Phoenix can rediscover their long-range accuracy and knock down open threes consistently, it opens up the floor for their big three to operate and keeps the Aces' defense honest. The Aces have multiple threats who can catch fire from deep, and if they get hot early in Game 1, they could build a lead that becomes insurmountable. One statistical trend that should terrify the Aces is the Mercury's incredible clutch time performance throughout the regular season. Phoenix led the entire WNBA in scoring efficiency during clutch situations at 118.1 points per 100 possessions, meaning they actually get better when the pressure increases rather than wilting under the spotlight. Their second lowest turnover rate in clutch situations, combined with the second highest effective field goal percentage, shows a team that makes smart decisions and converts high percentage shots exactly when games are decided. The Aces cannot afford to let Game 1 come down to the final 5 minutes, because the Mercury have proven all season that they're at their most dangerous in those pressure-packed moments. The broader implications of Game 1 extend far beyond just one victory or defeat. For the Mercury, winning Game 1 on the road would be an absolutely massive statement that could shift the entire complexion of this series. It would give Phoenix enormous confidence that they can not only compete with the Aces, but beat them on their home floor in the highest pressure environment. A Game 1 victory would also potentially create doubt in the Aces' minds about whether they have what it takes to close out this final series. The Mercury could return to Phoenix for Games 3 and 4, with a chance to take a commanding series lead if they can steal one of the first 2 games in Las Vegas. For the Aces, Game 1 represents an opportunity to assert their dominance and remind everyone why they're the 2-time defending conference champions. A convincing victory would validate their regular season dominance over Phoenix and establish the psychological edge they need to close out this series efficiently. However, if the Aces struggle again like they did throughout the playoffs, barely escaping against lower-seeded opponents, it could signal that their dynasty is vulnerable, and the Mercury have the formula to dethrone them. The pressure is squarely on Las Vegas to perform at home and justify their status as championship favorites. The historical significance of this first-ever best-of-7 WNBA Finals format adds another layer of intrigue to Game 1. Previous finals were best-of-5 series, meaning teams had less margin for error and every game carried enormous weight. The best-of-7 format allows for more strategic adjustments, gives teams chances to recover from bad games, and ultimately ensures the better team wins the championship. Game 1 sets the tone, but doesn't define the series like it would in a shorter format. Both teams can afford to lose Game 1 and still have plenty of opportunities to win the championship, but neither wants to fall behind early and give their opponent that psychological advantage. Now let me give you my detailed prediction for Game 1, taking into account all the factors we've analyzed throughout this comprehensive breakdown. The momentum and confidence clearly favor the Phoenix Mercury right now, as they've proven throughout the playoffs that they can eliminate championship-caliber teams when they execute their game plan effectively. Their defense has been absolutely suffocating during the postseason, and if they can replicate that intensity against Wilson and the Aces' offense, they have the tools necessary to pull off the upset. The Mercury's big three of Thomas, Sabally, and Copper have shown they can deliver in the biggest moments, and their clutch time execution is elite. However, the Las Vegas Aces still have significant advantages that cannot be overlooked or dismissed. Their home court advantage at Michelob Ultra Arena is real and creates a hostile environment for visiting teams. Wilson is one of the most dominant players in WNBA history, and her ability to take over games in crucial moments has been proven time and time again throughout her legendary career. The Aces' championship experience and their big three of Wilson, Young, and Gray know exactly how to win in the finals, having captured titles in 2022 and 2023. That championship DNA and mental toughness in pressure situations gives Las Vegas a significant edge. From a pure basketball analysis standpoint, I believe Game 1 will come down to execution in the crucial moments, and which team can impose their style of play on their opponent. The Mercury want to slow the pace, grind it out defensively, and turn the game into a half-court battle where every possession matters. The Aces prefer an up-tempo style, where their offensive firepower and Wilson's dominance can overwhelm opponents before they can establish defensive rhythm. Whichever team controls the pace and tempo of Game 1 will likely emerge victorious in a game that should be competitive throughout. My prediction for Game 1 is that the Las Vegas Aces will win a close, hard-fought battle at home to take a 1-0 series lead. I expect the final score to be somewhere in the range of Las Vegas 84, Phoenix 80, falling just inside the 4.5-point spread. Wilson will have a big game with around 28 points and 12 rebounds, asserting her dominance early and setting the tone for the Aces. Jackie Young will add 22 points and provide crucial secondary scoring when Phoenix tries to double-team Wilson. Chelsea Gray will contribute 14 points and hit a clutch three-pointer down the stretch that gives Las Vegas separation. For the Mercury, I expect Alyssa Thomas to have a near triple-double with 18 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists, doing everything in her power to keep Phoenix competitive. Satou Sabally will score 20 points but won't get enough help from Copper, who I predict will struggle with just 14 points on inefficient shooting. The Mercury's defense will keep them in the game throughout, but ultimately the Aces' championship experience and home court advantage will be the difference in crunch time. Las Vegas will hit their free throws down the stretch and make the winning plays defensively to escape with a narrow victory. However, don't let this Game 1 prediction fool you into thinking this series is over before it begins. I fully expect the Mercury to bounce back and potentially steal Game 2 in Las Vegas to even the series before it shifts to Phoenix. This finals has all the makings of a classic 7-game series that goes the distance, with both teams trading victories and neither able to establish complete dominance. The Mercury's road resilience and clutch execution, combined with the Aces' vulnerability in closing out series, suggests we're in for an absolute battle that could go either way. The winner of this finals will have earned their championship through one of the most competitive series in recent WNBA history. The Mercury are trying to complete one of the most remarkable rebuilds in league history, going from losing over 70% of their scoring to winning a championship in a single season. The Aces are trying to cement their dynasty status with a third title in 4 years and establish themselves as one of the greatest teams in WNBA history. Game 1 is just the beginning of what promises to be an unforgettable final series. Basketball fans, we are in for an absolute treat when these two teams take the court Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. The duel in the desert is about to begin, and the entire basketball world will be watching to see if the Aces can defend their championship legacy, or if the Mercury can complete their Cinderella playoff run with the ultimate prize. Make sure you don't miss a single second of Game 1, because this is the kind of championship basketball that reminds us why we love this sport. The WNBA Finals are here, and history is about to be made in Las Vegas. Drop your predictions in the comments below, and let's see if we can keep this 100% prediction streak alive.